Hey everyone, it's Rygo here from Rygo Tech. Welcome to the next episode of Learning Google Docs. So in this episode we're going to look at how to change the settings for your setup of your pages using Page Setup, how to insert page breaks to control exactly what parts of your document appears on separate pages, look at how to use the find and replace option if you've never used that before. Also look at how do we add headers and footers to the document, and as part of that, how can we insert page numbers into the document, and then also we'll end up looking at how do we add footnotes, which provides extra information about things in your document. So at the moment, the document is set up to be in portrait mode, which is the standard setup for pretty much all documents, but you can change it if you want to. So if you want to change the page setup options, then if you open up your sample resume that you've been working on previously for your Google Drive, and open that up, and you can do this along with me. So if we go to the File menu and then go to Page Setup, it brings up the different options here. So we want to apply it to the whole document. You can apply it to selected content, but generally you want to apply it to the whole document. We can see that the orientation is portrait, so we can change the landscape if we want, and the paper size is set to US letter, so that's generally the size that people in North America and that use. For Europeans, I'm in New Zealand, so for us New Zealanders and other Europeans, we generally use the A4 setting. So we changed it to A4 and click OK. That will just change things a little bit, but it doesn't change things too much, just changes the margins and things slightly. Alright, and actually our picture is no longer aligned now because we changed the setup of that picture of the document. Right, so that's how we can change the paper size, so either US letter or A4. You can change the page color if you really wanted. You could change the page color and it gives you a different background for the page. Just be aware that it will print out in that particular background. Now generally we don't want to do that, but I guess it's up to you depending on what type of document that it is that you're doing. And then if we change to landscape mode, so choose landscape, click OK, you can see that it orients the page the other way, right? If I just reduce the size down, you can see the page is in landscape mode now. So it just depends on what type of document that it is that you're trying to build, whether you prefer it in landscape or whether you want it in portrait mode. So we'll put it back to portrait mode, but at least you know how to change it if you actually want. You can change the margin settings, but leave them as they are because that's the default setting, which is the best one. Okay, so those are the page setup options, so now you know how you can use that. So let's have a look at how we can insert page breaks into the document. So let's say that I wanted education to be at the beginning of the next page. I could just use the enter key and drop it down, right? But you can see that it causes a bit of problems. It doesn't line things up a bit kind of nicely, and we have to put in multiple enter keys to put that in. So instead of doing that, we could just say, hey, put a page break in, and that will move it down automatically to the next page. So if we go to the insert menu and go break and then choose page break, that will then shift it down to the beginning of the next page, and it leaves all the rest of that empty. Cool. And if you wanted say work and so if you wanted your achievements on the next page, you go insert break, and then it inserts a new page break, and then it moves that down. And then you can always go put the cursor there, hit the delete key on your keyboard, and that will bring it back up again. So that's how you can get rid of a page break if you want. But I'm going to leave the page break in because I think it looks nice, so we'll put that back in. Sweet, so that's how you can control where you want your pages to break. It's a nice easy way of actually doing that. Alright, so the next thing is to look at using find and replace. So let's say I want to replace New Zealand with the word Australia for some reason. Maybe Anakin's moved to Australia and he wants to change all references to New Zealand to be Australia. So you could go through and manually just delete it and then type in the word Australia yourself, but we can use the find and replace option. So generally you want to put your cursor at the beginning of the document, so then it will start searching from that point down. So we want to go to the edit menu and then choose find and replace. Cool, so type in what you want to find. So we want to find New Zealand, and you can see that it will start to highlight where that occurs in the page. You can match case. If you click on match case, then the capitalization has to match exactly. So if I put a lowercase n here, you can see it does not match anything anymore. If the case doesn't matter, just untick that, and it doesn't matter what case it is, it will match what is that you're doing. And then we want to replace it with Australia. Sweet. So if you click on replace, it'll replace the first instance of New Zealand, and then wait for you to click on replace again to go on to the next instance. So let's do that. So click on, so you can do this yourself. So if you're putting up the find and replace in your document, and then type in New Zealand and replace with Australia, turn off match case if it happens to be on, click on replace, and you can see it changes the first instance of New Zealand and puts the word Australia there. Click replace again, and it changes the second instance, and because there's no more instances, it doesn't highlight anything else, and so you can see all these buttons are now disabled. So if we undo that, so try that on your own document. So now if we undo that and we do it all in one go, so if you go edit, find and replace, so if you click replace all, it will just go through and replace everything in one go, so that you don't have to keep clicking replace every time. So quite good if you've got a really long document and you just want to replace all of those particular things. Cool, so now that's how we can use the find and replace. What if we wanted to remove a particular word out of the document completely? So I want to remove Australia where it appears and not have anything else replace it. So you can use find and replace for that. So if you type in Australia, cool, and then in the replace with, if you leave that empty, it'll replace the word Australia with nothing, which means the word is then deleted. So if we click replace all, you can see that it removes Australia out of the document. Now you'll see it still has a couple of spaces in there, so that's something that you would have to kind of fix up manually. So you'd have to go through and find that. And in fact, if we undo that, what we could do is, oops, I went too far, let's redo that. If we go edit, find and replace, and go Australia space, and replace it with nothing, and then go replace all, then we don't get that double space in there. Sweet. So that's how you can remove a word from the entire document wherever it finds it. So have a play around with finding and replacing. Just try different words, see what happens. Remember, you can always undo things to get it back to how it was. Alright, so let's undo it and let's get back to having New Zealand there. Sweet. Okay, so that's find and replace done. The next thing is to add header and footers to the document, so that way we can put in something in the header and something in the footer. So if we go to the edit menu, no, it's not an edit, format, sorry. So go format and then go headers and footers. So choose that, and it brings up with the settings. So the header is 1/2 inch, the footer is 1/2 inch. You can play around with those numbers later on if you want to make the headers bigger or larger. I normally just leave them as the default. Those are quite good. We could have different first page and different odd and even. So that's something that's quite often used when people are laying out for like books, where you've got a left and a right page opened out. So you'll have different footers and possibly a different header for the first page. It's up to you if you want to put those in or not. We're going to leave them off at this stage, so don't tick them. Click on apply, and it will add our header and footer. So to get to the header, double click in the header area, and you can see it comes into the header here. Cool, and you can always tick on this to add the different first page if you wanted to, and you can click on options to do different things. If you click on header format, it just brings us back to this page that you can change those if you want, and then you can go page numbers, and it allows you to add a page number in. We'll talk about that in a minute. and you can remove the header by going remove header, and that removes it. So if you double click in here, that's a quick way of bringing the header back again. Okay, so you don't have to go format header and footers and then go apply. You can just go double click and it adds the header in for you. So for the header, let's put in, say it's a curriculum, it's a resume for Anakin Skywalker. So resume for forgot to put the S in there, resume, and we want to center that, so let's use center align. So center justification, click off it, and you can see that we've got a header at the beginning of this page. We also have a header over here, and if we go further down, we have the header in here as well, so that shows up in every single page. So let's see what it looks like if we choose different for first page. So we tick on that, you can see that it doesn't have anything in the header for the first page. When we go to the second page, it has the header, and then any other pages it has the header as well. So sometimes you want a different header for the very first page, you don't want any header at all, so that's how you can actually do that. If we untick that, then it brings it back and makes it the same for everything. Alright, so that's how we can have a header in our document. So let's go down and add a footer. So again, you can just go double click and it adds the footer in for you. And generally what we want on the footer is the page number, but we want the page number to appear on the right hand edge. So if we make it right justification or right aligned, then the page number will appear over here. So we can just go page, and then we want to insert the page number automatically. We don't do it manually ourselves, we want the document to add in the page number. So we're going to go insert, and you can see you've got the page numbers option. Alright, so you can choose from here where you want the page number to appear, and you can choose more options, and it gives you this setting here where you want it to actually appear, or you can also get the page count to appear. So let's have a look at what the page count does. I'll just delete that for a second. If you go insert, page numbers, page count, it inserts the number of pages you have. So that's what the page count means. So notice you can see that it's highlighted, so that means it's an automatically generated value. Right, if you want to delete, get rid of it, you can just highlight it, press the backspace key, and you can see that it's been deleted from all your pages. So we want to insert the page number. So we'll go to the insert menu again, go to page numbers, and we want to choose it on every page number. This option here shows that the page number doesn't appear on the first page, but the page number appears on all the second pages. So if you've got like a title page of your document, which doesn't count as a page in the document, you would choose this option here. If you want the page number to appear in every document, you want this one. And if you want the page number to appear in the header section rather than the footer section, you'll use one of these two options here. So generally the page numbers are in the footer, right? So we'll choose this option here, and before it we can type page, and it'll go page 1, page 2, page 3, or you can not have the word page and just have the numbers by themselves, depending on what it is that you actually want. So we've got 1, 2, and 3. Sweet, so that's how we can use the header and footer to allow us to insert a page number into our document. So our document's looking quite professional now. So the last thing we want to do is footnotes. So footnotes are used to explain a term or something in your document. So we maybe want to explain what NCEA is, but I don't want to put it into this particular paragraph here. So what we can do is we can make this a footnote. So if you highlight what you want to make a footnote, so we highlight that term there, then we go insert footnote. So choose that. So you notice it puts a little 1 subscript above that word, and then down here we can see that we get the footnote appear at the bottom of the page. So we can put National Certificate of Educational achievement, which is what NCEA is called in New Zealand, certificate. And again, if you get any red squiggly lines, you can right click on them and it brings you up suggestions that you can use to fix your spelling and so on. So it does correct your spelling as you go, and it will highlight it. So you just right click and it will allow you to choose from any words. So if I put Gateway, so if you right click on it, it gives you up suggested words, and if it doesn't have what it is you want, you can always look it up yourself and just change it manually. So that's how we can use the spelling checking. Otherwise, you can always just go format. Is it under edit? Tools? Yeah, spelling and tools, spelling and grammar. Go spelling and grammar check, and it will go through and come up with any errors that you might have. So you can run through that yourself. So you can put multiple footnotes on the same page. What can we do? So let's highlight Microsoft Office skills and do a footnote for that. So insert footnote. You can see it puts 2 and it puts it underneath that. So basic Office tasks in Word and Excel. Alright, so that's how we can add footnotes. So it basically just means you can add extra information about something but not have it appear in the main document, and people can look in the footnotes section. And then you can have footnotes on different pages as well. So let's maybe do a footnote for mathematics here. So we go for insert footnote, and again it puts the footnote, it just carries on. This is footnote 3, so it carries on from the previous page. I wasn't very good at mathematics. Alright, so that's how we can add footnotes into our document. So there we go. Alright, so just to recap, we learned how to use the page setup. We learned how to use insert page breaks to make things appear on the pages that we want, how to find and replace text, how to add headers and footers to our document, and then how to add page numbers into our document, and then how we can use footnotes to add extra information to our document as well. So that's it for this particular episode. Hopefully you found that quite useful. If you did, give it a thumbs up. If you didn't find it useful, you're welcome to give me a thumbs down if you want. That's okay. If you like my content, please give me a subscription, because it just helps the YouTube algorithm to notice my content, and that way more people will get the benefit of these tutorial videos. And look out for future videos on Google Docs and also other Google applications like Google Sheets and so on. Alright, well, that's it for this video. Hopefully I will catch you in the next video.